Inside of today's video, going to be giving you guys a 15-win championship challenge guide with all the best compositions, tips, all of that good stuff. So the championship challenge is already coming out tomorrow, so it just comes around pretty quickly. So giving you guys, especially with the new meta, the new maps, there's a lot to really dig into. So before we jump into the video, make sure you use a credit code. That'd be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's hop into it. All right, guys, so moving on to set number 1, we have CANAL GRANDE. So as you can see, there's a lot of unbreakable walls on CANAL GRANDE, but there's also another change in the left bottom corner or the right top corner. They've removed the lake and also just made it a lot more, well, just added a lot more room. So normally on CANAL GRANDE, you normally spawn trap quite heavily if you lose control in the first gunfight, but now at least there's a little bit more space to make a little bit of a comeback. But anyways, CANAL GRANDE, as you can see by the meta, is pretty much just throwers and tanks, because normally you could perhaps put like a wall break in your composition, you know, like a Brock or something, and break open that grass, that where the walls are in the grass, and it'd just be very open. But now you can't break it open, of course, so tanks and throwers are just going to be so dominant. So as you can see, Eve is going to be pretty much the best pick here, just because, you know, there's not a lot of space to really move on CANAL GRANDEs anyway, and especially with unbreakable walls. So Eve is going to be just really good at helping pinch both lanes. You've also got to have a thrower in your composition 100%. And probably in draft you could get away with a double thrower, but for me in ladder, I feel like you've got to play one thrower and one tank. So whether that be a Grom, whether that be a Tick, a Sprout, whatever you're most comfortable with in terms of thrower, just go with that. Even Dynamite you can pretty much use on here, but I would say Tick's a little bit better, just because at least he's decent against tanks with his super. You've also got to go with a tank. So for me, whether that's a Sam, whether that's an Ash, or whether that is probably like a Carl or something like that, just be really tanky. Jackie, I've also forgot to put in the graphic as well. It's really up to you which tank you prefer, but you could go with some other options as well, you know, Jean to scout out the grass. You've also got Squeak and Penny, which is just going to be really good with the unbreakable walls. A lot of different options you can choose. Lou as well. Lou is really good on this map in particular, because his super will literally just cover the entirety of a lane. And not only that, there's a lot of tanks, so of course Lou's going to be good where tanks are used. So CANAL GRANDE, a little bit more open. Don't be afraid just to use a lot of throwers and tanks, because they'll get you so much control on this map. Let's jump into the next one. So now moving on to set number 2, we have Pinhole Punt. So you might have had the chance to play it with the new unbreakable walls already if you played ladder yesterday, but if you haven't, these are the best brawlers and compositions to use. So for me, I've gone with B, Ems, and Ash. So first one being B. B has always been good on Pinhole Punt, but especially with this meta, you know, yesterday's video, if you missed it, I put her as the best brawler in the game. She just feels so strong in the meta. Been playing for so long, literally every single day, and I just feel like she's the one brawler that I just can't stop in this meta. So of course Pinhole Punt, you want to be using her, and especially as the mid brawler, you'll be using a vision gear. Any brawler you use in the mid here, or if you've got another lane brawler, I don't know, like Crow or Spike, use the vision gear. It's really going to help you out in the middle. So next up, going to be talking about is Ems. So Ems is definitely making more of a headway in this meta, just because there's a lot of tanks, but unbreakable walls is really going to favor her. Before, you could counter Ems pretty easily by just destroying the walls with roofs or with griff, etc, etc, but Ems in Brawl, just really strong right now, just especially once she gets her super and you've still got gadgets available. There's not a lot that can actually get Ems out of that power position, so that's why she's just really strong. And especially when it comes down to ladder, where you don't know what composition you're facing off against, it's just good to have that hybrid brawler, which is pretty good against everything. Same goes with B in that aspect. And then Ash. So again, you want like a tanky brawler. You want someone that can at least get the pressure for you, because, you know, you don't really want control brawlers in this type of meta all the time, because you can't slowly break open a map like you can with some combinations. You've got to go with at least one aggressive brawler. So Ash is probably the best one. You can go with Sam or some other ones. Probably Sam and Ash are the best two to go. If you don't want to use any of these other brawlers, you know, Poco, Pinhole Punt is really strong, because it's so easy to scout the grass with his main attack. Not only that, he can just be so powerful combined with a lot of other brawlers. You know, Lou as well, you know, just like B. B is a lot easier to use than Lou, but I think Lou actually has more of a punch, because his super can cover such a large area. You only need one super to then again cycle another super. It just allows you to get a lot more control easier with Lou. So Lou definitely an underrated pick here. You know, Penny just pretty much good everywhere. Crow really good at scanning the grass, getting the slows in, and that's one thing that would really prevent you from winning if you're not keeping control of the middle section. So make sure you've got at least one brawler that can scout the middle pretty easily. So that is going to be a Pinhole Punt. let's jump into the next one. So now moving on to set number 3, we have Hard Rock Mines. So as you can see on the screen, the unbreakable walls, there's not really a lot of them on this map, but definitely in those key positions in the right midsection. Now those aggressive brawlers can really make use of those unbreakable walls. But anyways, the best composition for me, there's a lot of mids you can use on this map. This is just my personal preference, but don't be afraid to switch between a lot of them. So I've gone with Max in the middle. You could easily use the likes of Gene, 8-bit, B, just whichever you prefer, really. All of them are just as good as each other. I prefer Max because it synergizes a little bit better with the aggro brawlers. Not only that, you can keep more of an aggro position in the middle of as well to help you collect a lot more gems. That's why I really like Max, and you can just wiggle your way out of a lot of key situations. And not only that, you want to be using a vision gear to, of course, scout the enemy gem carrier. But not only that, if a brawler gets into your grass, it's really good to have the vision gear, so then you and your teammates can help pinch out. And of course, that's going to be your downfall as well. So if you're not pinching out the enemies in your own spawn, it's going to be pretty much GG, because brawlers like Sam and Ash just have so much HP and so much firepower. You've got to be really careful of them sneaking up, and that's why I've gone with Ruffs as well. So there's still a lot of walls you can break up on this map. It's still Rico and Ruffs can get a lot of value, because at the beginning it's really easy just to dominate with those brawlers. So don't be afraid to go with Ruffs or a Rico. If anything, they're probably even better in this type of meta, because tanks are really going to feed them, and tanks are going to definitely struggle against those types of brawlers. So also as well, Penny, Penny's just good against everything, especially considering you don't know what you're facing off against. Those unbreakable walls, you can pretty much put your Penny turret in the middle in that safe area all of the time. It's going to get such amazing value right there. Crow can be pretty good here because his slows are just so strong, and especially at preventing those tanky brawlers to getting in behind. Buzz as well can be a really good counter to the likes of Ruffs and Rico. So a good Buzz can always get in behind and cause a lot of pressure on the enemies. And then Otis as well, pretty good everywhere. So for me, Hard Rock Mine is all about, as your mid, trying to make sure that there's no enemies sneaking in behind. Not only that, making sure you're at least equal in gem count. Normally it goes 1 gem to one person, 1 gem to the other, constantly fighting for control. Don't over aggress with the gem carrier. You want to be slowly ticking your way to the 10 gems, and then with your aggro, just get as much pressure as possible. Make sure you're wasting as much time as possible. Even if you're not getting kills, the enemy having to pinch you out is going to buy more time for your gem carrier. So that has to be set number 3. Let's hop into set number 4. So now moving on to set number 4, we have Belle's Rocks. So as you can see on the screen, this is the brand new map and also the best brawlers to use. So in terms of Power League draft, I've only played it a few times, and throws are just incredibly toxic. But again, this is just random. Like, you don't know what composition you're facing off against, so I wouldn't really advise going double thrower. But maybe if you're just really strong with throwers, you can probably opt for the double thrower, because those unbreakable walls are so toxic and so hard to push against if it's just a Sprout or a Grom or a Tick just spamming shots constantly behind them. So for me anyways, Gene is going to be the best mid option. Again, Gene is just pretty much good against everything, really strong in knockout. Can also use your pull through the unbreakable walls, so Gene hasn't been affected by it. It's just good against everything, good against throws, good against tanks, just good at slowly chipping away and healing up your teammates as well. Grom, just any throw is going to be so dominant here. You don't really need to speak about it anymore. Throws are just broken, especially on knockout. And then you want to go with like a hybrid brawler again, whether that's a Bonnie. Bonnie can be really good on knockout to secure a kill. Gray as well, although he's been nerfed, he's still pretty good on his own, especially in knockout. If you get your super, you can pretty much confirm a kill every single time with it. A lot of other decent options as well. Like Carl, he can be pretty aggressive with Carl. B in the middle as well, still gets countered a little bit by throwers, but seeing a lot of people going B, still pretty good. Gus as well, Mandy, all of these brawlers are really strong in the knockout meta. Bo with a brand new totem can actually be pretty solid as well. Not really advised it all of the time, but still pretty decent with the mines. And then Penny as well. So yeah, definitely be making sure you're getting those throws in the compositions. Those are going to be the types of brawlers to carry you to those wins. And lastly, moving on to set number 5, we have Ring of Fire. So Ring of Fire, as you can see on the screen, these are the best brawlers to use. Not only that, there's no unbreakable rules, so the meta hasn't really shifted too much. The same old with Ring of Fire. So the first brawler we're going to be highlighting is Lou. Lou has to be in 100% of your compositions because he's so crucial. He counters a lot of the aggro brawlers. Not only that, his super allows you to get time on the zone guaranteed, because if the enemies are running over that Lou super, they're just going to feed him so easily. He can cycle super so quick with his brand new super gear, I think it's called. But yeah, Lou is just so broken right now, and definitely one of the best brawlers in the game. And next up, we're going to be highlighting B. So, of course, B is so strong when it comes to an open map. Just good against everything. But the main reason I prefer over some other brawlers is because you can also outrange a Lu. So, you don't want to be feeding the Lu on the enemy side, because this is set number 5. You're more than likely going to be facing enemy Lus. B is really good at keeping the distance. Not only that, also decent against Meg, slowing Meg, and making sure you can get her down pretty easily. So, next up, we have Meg. So of course, Hot Zone, Lu and Meg are the two brawlers which you pretty much see all of the time. This is literally the map made for her, because once you get that super, you know, you have like 7.5k HP, just so hard to deal with, especially a good Meg cycling over and over again. You can get so much time with her. So in terms of alternative picks as well, Poco can be a good mid as well if you don't really like B. You're basically guaranteed zone time all of the time with Poco. The other thing with him is that once, you know, Lu starts cycling his supers, it can be pretty hard for a Poco to really get back into the game. But early game, Poco is incredibly strong. Bonnie as well, a really strong pick, good at countering the likes of B and Meg. But not only that, you know, if any team is using Lu, you've got to be a little bit careful of feeding the Lu. But the good thing is you can bypass Lu's super, just jump over it and just take down one of their enemies, allowing you to gain back some control. So that's why Bonnie is really good in Hot Zone right now. You know, Crow, always strong in Ring of Fire just because of his super. Again, just like Bonnie, you can jump over certain things and get you back some control. The likes of Lola, just really strong against the likes of B, for example, can get you a lot of zone time because you can pop the gadget and they're just going to be spending forever trying to take down your clone, whilst you can just get some percentage yourself. You know, Belle is starting to make a little bit more of a comeback here, just because, again, she outranges the likes of Lu, good counter to the likes of Meg and B, and her traps in the middle are just so vital for gaining control. Gus always good in Hot Zone, a lot of other options as well, but that is set number 5, Ring of Fire. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. So this is actually one of the most confident I've been for a while now, because as you guys probably know, I've not really been playing Brawl Stars before this update too much. I'll play for a couple of hours a day, then I'll normally log off, but you know, right now I'm literally grinding for hours on end, so I feel like I've got a decent grasp of the meta. Overall, these compositions should definitely be enough to carry you to those 15 wins, but of course the competition's going to be pretty stiff. Literally as the years go on, the championship challenges just seem to get harder and harder. A lot of pro players last time around didn't actually manage to get 15 wins, so don't be disheartened if you don't get it this time around. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.